This is Tanya Bridge Malone back with another YouTube video. I don't know what the Lord wants me to speak about, but as I talk, I'm sure He'll guide me. He is above it all, proudly standing tall, waiting for you to accept the call He has on your life. Many people are plotting in behind closed doors. I guess it's just what I'm to speak of. Many people are plotting on your downfall behind closed doors. Many people behind closed doors are sitting at the round table. They're sitting at the table. Some of them are for you. Some of them are speaking up against the ones who are coming against you. Many times we don't know what's going on behind closed doors, but Christ sure does. So what do we waste our time going around dealing with negativity? Well, I had something happen to me yesterday, so I will mention it. Well, they called me yesterday. I told y'all in my last video I uploaded that they called me to come in early yesterday to work 2 to 10, but my schedule already said 2 to 10. But the schedule, the printed out schedule they brought into on the floor said 3 to 11. The right hand don't know what the left hand don't know what the right hand's doing. Well, Christ is the right hand. He's sitting right there. He's right there. He's right there on the throne to let us know that we're not alone in our battles that are coming. So anyway, yesterday, Ben's, and when they called me to come in at a time I was already scheduled for, so I did not come in early. I was already scheduled 2 to 10 anyway. So anyway, at the end of the night, and he even told me on the phone that I could close up the deli at 9 o'clock because I was scheduled to get off at 10. I'm not working past my time. It is not my fault if your people who make the schedule cannot put people where they need them. But they had me scheduled on the right time, 2 to 10. Normally we don't close the deli until 10, but we had somebody come up there at probably around 20 minutes till 9. We were closing at 9. Which I proceeded, there were 3 or 4 people standing there. I didn't know that the 3 people were together. I figured, well, I better tell these people that we're closing in 20 minutes so they need to get whatever they need before we close. I had already cleaned the cheese slicer when these people came up there. And I told them, loud enough so they could understand, that we are closing in 20 minutes. I'm not cutting any cheese because I just cleaned the slicer. The cheese slicer I had just cleaned. I was not about to dirty it back up when it was 20 minutes before time to close. And then the woman got an attitude with me and said that I got an attitude with her because I told her that we were closing in 20 minutes. And then she proceeded to say that I did not start, she said that I was starting an argument, and I was not. I was simply telling them that we were closing in 20 minutes. And that I was not going to cut any cheese because it was 20 minutes before time to close and I had just cleaned the cheese slicer and I was not going to clean it again. And I told her, and I never once told her I would not cut her meat. I did not know them 3 people were together. I figured they might have been 3 separate people, so I wanted to make sure they knew we were closing in 20 minutes. And I never once told her I would not cut her meat. She wanted to proceed on and say, well, this woman's just telling us this. You know, she was saying that I was just telling her that because I didn't want to wait on her. I did not say that because I did not want to wait on her. I was letting her know, like I did a few other people that came before her, that I was not cutting any cheese. I had just cleaned the cheese slicer. I'm the only one back there waiting on customers, and it is not my fault that they scheduled me 2 to 10. I was already scheduled 2 to 10, according to the online schedule that I had to log in online to get my schedule because nobody brought the schedule down. Not a big deal. But, anyway, I told her, I said, ma'am, I'll just go get the manager. Do you want to talk to the manager? She said, yes, just go get the manager. So I went and got went to get a manager. I went up to customer service and told them and asked if there was a manager in the store that could come back and talk to the customer. So guess what? The manager was called by somebody over the intercom, and she, instead of coming out talking to the customer who wanted to argue with me, just because I told her we were closing in 20 minutes, I never cussed the woman out. I never said anything out of the way to her. I just told her we're closing in 20 minutes, ma'am. You all should get whatever you need before we close. And I told them I was not cutting cheese because I had just cleaned the whole cheese slicer. I was not about to do that. So therefore, I went and got the manager, but the manager came over the intercom and sent another lady out on the floor who had she could not cut the woman's meat because she was not trained in a deli. And she was not a manager. The manager should have came out and talked to her, but she sent somebody who was not a manager to come out and speak to the woman. And so this woman told this woman, I told the woman, I said, if you want cheese, there's cheese over in the grab and go that we have pre-sliced and it's already over there if there's anything you need in the cheese line. And so she kept talking to this woman, and I cut her meat. I said, ma'am, I never said that I would not cut your meat. I never once said that. I just let you know we're closing in 20 minutes. And that I'm not cutting any cheese if you need any, because there's cheese in the grab and go, and I have done cleaned the whole slicer. And because normally we don't close till 10 o'clock, but they scheduled me to 10. I'm not allowed to stay past my time because I'm already scheduled 40 hours. And I told the woman, I said, I'm back here by myself waiting on all these people. Plus I have all this stuff I have to clean up before and be out of here by 10 o'clock. I'm not allowed to work past my time. They will not allow me. And she did not like that. So I went and got the manager. She did not have to ask me to get a manager. I just went and got one myself. I was not going to continue to argue with somebody who wanted to start an argument over nothing. I'm just letting you know that we are closing in 20 minutes. And I do not care to cut your meat. I never said one time I would not cut her meat. She started World War III. Oh well. Oh well. Minty times, people. And yes, I did raise my voice a little bit to let them know that we were closing in 20 minutes. Because quite frankly, I don't always think the customer's right. And she sat there and told her husband or whoever was standing beside her, I didn't know if it's who was with her or who, but anyway, she said she's not cutting any cheese. No, I'm not cutting any cheese. I just cleaned the cheese slicer. We're closing in 20 minutes. So yes, I am cleaning because I'm the only one back here. So in order for me to be out of here by 10 o'clock, I cannot wait till the end of the closing shift to clean this stuff up, or I will never get out of here on time. And granted, it is not the customer's fault that they do not have enough people back there to wait on people and to help clean at the end of the night. So a manager came back there around 20 after 8 and said that to make sure that we had the person that takes the trash back, that she was going to call the trash over the intercom at 8:30. And that she did not want to see any trash cans with any overflowing trash in them when day shift comes in. So in my mind, I didn't say anything. There were 2 to 3 trash cans left overflowing because he did not take it back. But it was not a big deal because it was heavy. They were already full when I came onto the shift. Day shift is not cleaning up after themselves, but yet it's all thrown on us to clean up after ourselves. Every day I come on the shift, the trash cans are completely overflowing onto the floor. I cannot lift those trash bags. They weigh more than me. And I'm not going to hurt my back. As you all well know, I hurt my back way back there at Serpentine. I'm not going to hurt my back lifting heavy shit that weighs more than me. They can kiss my butt because it's not happening. So, it is what it is. It's okay for day shift to leave the trash overflowing, but if night shift doesn't get all the trash out of the trash can because they can't lift it, it's because day shift doesn't empty it when it gets halfway full. Granted, I know they're very busy on day shift, so I'm not against them, but I'm just saying somebody could have took the trash bag out of the trash can. I came in yesterday and all the 3 small trash cans between each slicer was overflowed and were falling on the floor, and it had no trash bag in it. You know, it is what it is. And by all means, this place is micromanaged, dictatorship by the managers who want to sit and tell everybody what to do, but do not pitch in and help. And so it is what it is, and they screwed somebody out of a job and put them back in a different department and took help away from us just to hire another person who didn't even show up for orientation. So I'm sitting back here laughing. Even though I know we desperately need the help, but why did they take somebody out of the deli who was trained, who they told would get an assistant manager in that department, and then for 2 months tell him that he had the job and then take it away from him? If you are a hard worker, 9 times out of 10, you're going to be walked all over. Do not do more on your job than what you have to do. Do not succumb to these micromanagers, for they want to bark orders. This place throws new people into a job and don't even train them. They set them up for failure because they don't even train them. Then they gripe, moan, bitch, and complain, excuse my language, because they do something wrong, but yet they were never trained. This place is a union place, but it is not worth a shit. Most people don't even get a lunch break here. They don't have enough coverage for you to take a lunch break. And of course, if you do, you have to clock in and out, I would assume. I don't really know, but I'm assuming you would have to. And you would have to stay over a half hour, because they do not pay you for a lunch break. And you cannot take one unless you have coverage. Unless you're just going to close the department down for a whole half hour because there's nobody to cover it. This is the company which I work for. Which there's one state that's on strike against Kroger's for understaffing. Understaffed, and every department in this store is understaffed and overworked and underpaid. But what good is the union in there? What good is the union? They don't even see to it that people get lunch breaks. They don't even see to it that people get their breaks. A lot of times people work a whole shift and only take one 15-minute break, but that's sometimes those people's choices. They're like, well, we can't get all this stuff done. I said, it's 15 minutes. You're not going to tell me that I cannot take my break. I'll walk the hell out. As bad as I need money, I'll walk the hell out if you tell me I can't take a break. Then I'll go get a lawyer and sue your ass for not having enough coverage, for not giving me my breaks. And I always take my 2 15-minute breaks. I do not take a lunch break. But I will come against your company and I will sue the piss out of you for telling me that I cannot take my break. And that's not going to happen because I take my breaks, whether I have coverage or not. I put a close sign up. If there's nobody, I go to fuck the break. And I don't give a shit what they say. I dare a bitch to come at me. I dare a motherfucker to come at me. And excuse my language, but I dare you to come at me. You don't stand 10 toes down with me, you'll be 10 toes out the way. And so it is what it is. I expect that I'll probably get griped out from yesterday's scene, but I don't care. I need money, but I don't need it that bad to put up with micromanagement. I don't give two craps. I speak out for the weak. I deal with many of things in this job, but one thing I'm not going to deal with is somebody micromanaging me. These managers of Dashiki, Arai, Karashi, they are not for the worker. They do not know how to run a company. They don't know what the left hand's doing, the right hand's doing, which way do we go? I just laughed my butt off, man, when I seen that person didn't show up for orientation. I laughed because I thought, you dang people done sit there and screwed a man out of a job you said he could have for 2 months. He even come in here sick and everything else to work because he knew they were low on people and he needed the money. Combination of both. And then you just tell him, you just screw him out of the job he said he could have for 2 months. And threw him in the back in the meat department. As bad as we needed help and they took somebody out of our department. As if we wasn't already low on people. And then we seen a glimpse of hope when they hired 2 people, but one went to another, only came here to train, and then they sent her to a Northern Kentucky store. And then the other one, they was training her in the deli, but she was hired for the cheese section they got, which is the big blocks of cheese. So they hired her for that department, but was training her in the damn deli. And the only reason they're training people in different departments is because if somebody calls in or we're low on people or we don't have coverage, they'll send them over there to do that job, to fill in. Instead of hiring somebody specifically for our department. Now, they say we're supposed to get 2 people, but I'll believe it when I see it. So they didn't give us no help. They took away help. Then the man they hired to replace the one they screwed over didn't even show up to orientation. Now, granted, that man should have showed up to orientation, but you reap what you sow too. Does the company take their part in the role they played? Hell no, they don't take their part in the role they played. They just screwed a good worker out of a position they said he could have. It's crazy how the world operates. This is how upper management does people. Oh, he was too slow. Oh, he this, he that. Wow. Then they gave the position to somebody else, and that dude probably don't even want to work with him, so that's why. So he probably didn't care that he got moved back to the meat department, but he probably wasn't too happy about it. That man, they said that could have that job for 2 months before they took it away from him, said, well, I live on my own. The only way you can make extra money is to go up. And he needed that extra money. Battling his own struggles at home, and then had to come to work and be ridiculed, and took the rug right out from underneath his feet. Good worker. Nice to people. Where does being nice get you in this world? Well, it gets you somewhere with the Lord. But sometimes I'm not always the nicest person. These customers in here ain't always right, in my opinion. Me, I would never go into a facility, like into a grocery store at 20 minutes till time for somebody to close and ask him for something. But notified that these people didn't know we closed at 9 o'clock, because normally we stay open till 10. So that's the reason why I yelled out, we're in a high enough voice so people can hear me. Because a lot of people that come into the deli, they can't hear very well. So I made my voice known that we close in 20 minutes. Because I didn't know them 3 people were together. Granted, I could have asked, but I didn't. And I just figured it was 2 or 3 people wanting to be waited on, and we close in 20 minutes. So I told them, I said, I told you what I told them. Do I regret saying it? No, I don't. I'm the only one back here. You think it ain't stressful for me? It may not be the customer's fault that I'm by myself, but they won't have 2 people close. One person on the chicken side closes, which they close at 7 o'clock. The deli normally don't close till 10 o'clock. I was scheduled 2 to 10, so I had to close the deli at 9 o'clock in order to be out of there and have that stuff cleaned up by 10 o'clock. I barely got it cleaned up by 10 o'clock, and that was starting to clean the slicers at 8:30. So it ain't my place to sit here, and if I waited till we completely closed the deli to clean everything, I'd be in there to 12 o'clock every night. Because it takes 35-40 minutes to clean each one of them slicers, if you clean them right, But it don't make no difference. They don't want to give us no help. You tell me that ain't toxic. It is. Then they expect us to do the online orders before people that's staying and waiting in the store, It's just crazy. They done lost their mind. It done flew off somewhere. I'm just telling you. I talk about my job a lot because this job's stressful. It really is. It's a stressful job. And they make it stressful. Management makes it more stressful because they don't want to do their part. Now, when I went to get a manager to come out there on the floor for this customer, I asked the customer, I said, do you want me to go get the manager? She said, yeah. I said, okay, I'll go get the manager. So I went to get the manager, and the manager called over the intercom and told the girl that called her over the intercom to go out there and deal with the customer instead of the manager going out to deal with the customer. The manager didn't want to deal with the customer. So what kind of manager is this? This is a manager who micromanages people, who walks around with a fucking frown, who tells everybody else when they come over to do their updates on you and what they do on you, a survey on you every so many days or whatever the hell it is they do, you know, telling you, well, you need to put a smile on your face. I said, bitch, you need to put a smile on your face is what I should have said. You know what I mean? But I kept my mouth shut because I'm trying to keep my job, but at the same time, I don't really care at this point. You know what I mean? Because I know there's other places out here to work besides here. You know, the thing of it is, it took me forever to get a job. It took me a month and a half looking really hard every day for a job to get this job. And I had to come in here and I talked to the same manager who interviewed me 3 times for them to give me a job. And like I said, they hired 2 girls for our department, but they didn't. They trained one girl here and sent her to the Northern Kentucky store, so she wasn't even going to be working here. And the other girl, she was hired in the cheese department where they cut the big slices, the chunks of cheese, or they come in that way. And so they hired her for that department, so they never hired her for the deli, but they trained her in the deli when they started her instead of training her in the cheese department. Because they want to train you in 2 or 3 different departments. That way, if somebody calls in or somebody leaves, they got somebody to fill in. I get that. But they never gave us no extra bodies for the 2 people who quit. Like 2 months ago. They've never replaced those workers. So you tell me what sense that makes. I understand you want to cross-train people, but you don't want to give us the people back that you freaking either fired or quit. You throw it all off on one person to do and then wonder why you don't keep workers. Then instead of telling them they do a good job, you nitpick every little thing they don't do. Well, do you ever consider that you don't have enough help back here for people to clean everything up like they're supposed to? Do you hold day shift accountable to clean up after their shit? Because you expect night shift to clean up everybody else's shit that don't want to clean up after themselves. If you ain't got a lot of customers, there's no reason you can't clean stuff as you go. I come in and there's 4 or 5 meats laying out that ain't been put up. I could understand if they're expired. Just saying. Aba ikashitie shiri. Understand what you're dealing with in your workplace. Look around. Pay attention to your surroundings. Pay attention to how management treats their employees. Pay attention to what goes on in the workplace. The one that's overworked is one of the greatest workers they have. One of the best workers they have. And the ones who stand around and don't do anything are the ones who get rewarded. And the ones who overwork themselves are the ones that get work overload. All they get, no appreciation, but just more work thrown on them to do. But no raise is coming your way. Not working here. We got a manager who's been looking for a job for months now, and she hasn't been able to find one. Everywhere she goes, they turn her away. She's one of the best managers they have here, and she's been here for a little over 5 years and knows more than any of the other managers know. And this manager will pitch in and help if you go find her and you need extra people to wait on people, she will help you. And a lot of these other managers, they're not doing shit unless they absolutely have to. And they bark orders. And they don't do shit. They bark orders, talk to you like shit, and do not treat you well. And new hires, they are bitching, moaning, complaining, even though they are not having nobody to train them. They are trying to set people up for failure. This is what's going on in my workplace environment. I'm speaking out against it. And I hope y'all have a blessed day, but know the Lord is blessing you. He's bringing many people up to be entrepreneurs so they don't have to work in crappy places like this. This is not my final destination, trust me. I'm on the come up. Sun up to sundown, I'm speaking of Christ. Even when I'm at work, I'm speaking the light of Christ to people I work with, showing them that God can guide you a better path. I am only here for making money. And I'm trying to make an impact on lives and trying to get people to come to Christ to see His light. And to speak out against stuff that is happening in the micromanaging and dictatorship of these managers. Adai, I-T-E. I-T-E. Figure it out. Google it. Peace, love, and y'all be blessed.